markets and just kept trying. I just kept calling and calling and calling until I got on the places where I wanted to be on.
Fantastic. And what has been the biggest change that you have experienced in your own personal life from all of this?
The biggest change, I think, is a shift in confidence. I mean, more so than you would even necessarily think. Do I feel more confident on camera? Yes. Do I feel more confident speaking? Yes. But I just feel more confident in other areas of my life. I feel more confident as a mother. And I think that I was also having a real issue with my coaching before. I wasn't closing the sales like I wanted to. And for the longest time, I thought it was because I wasn't a good coach. I thought that my name wasn't getting out there because I wasn't good at what I was doing. I started believing that story. And then when I realized, no, it was just a matter of people needing to see that I'm here, I realized how much I really am needed and how much better I've come in my own coaching over this period of time and how much of a benefit I am to other people. And it was really this story about thinking I was not good enough. That's why people weren't coming. But really, it was just that my name wasn't getting out there.
Yeah, that's a big story in a lot of people's heads. I know when I was first starting out as an expert in the industry, I didn't think my stuff was good enough. But really, it was about the marketing of what I did. Because as I say, marketing of what you do is 100 times more important than what you actually do or sell.
It has to be, because I knew, I think at one time that I was a good coach, but my confidence just kept diminishing. And then I think when it clicked for me, I was on in Denver. I was doing a segment, and the woman, the anchor, kept asking me all these questions that had nothing to do with the segment necessarily, but it was about parenting. And you could tell they were questions about her and her kids. I mean, it was almost awkward because the co-anchor was off camera, but I could see him on the Zoom call. And he was just kind of looking at me and looking at her because it had trailed off into this really weird area. And I was trying to kind of bring it back in. But I knew at that point that I was really providing value because she was asking questions for herself.
That's great. I always say one of the best positions to have is to just treat the anchor or the host as if they're your client or patient or someone that you're serving in the moment. And if you could just do that, then it really puts you in an authoritative position. You can speak in a way where it's natural for you because you're just doing your thing. So that's really great. Congratulations on that. I've also read and learned from others of my mentors that the marketing of what you do actually transforms what you do. So in this case, there was an Airbnb, and he won this competition to rewrite their advertising, their marketing for Airbnb. It was the same apartment, the same everything. The only thing that changed was the marketing, and the ratings of the apartment went from 3 stars to 4 stars because it had better marketing. So do you find that your coaching has actually gotten better?
My coaching has definitely gotten better, mostly because I've really tried very hard to provide really good content on the segments. And so it's forced me to look at things differently and look at myself differently, look at people differently. I think too that you meet so many different people doing this. And so it gives you new perspective into things, but just hearing the questions that came up while I was on the segments tuned me into the places that I should be looking and where people really wanted me to focus energy on. And so I started spending more time focusing on those areas.
Amen. I say that producers will help you to improve your messaging. So many people, I've heard it over the years, because now I've done coming up on my 49th Celebrity Launchpad.
Wow.
Happening in a week. 1 week from now, we've got people coming down to our villa in Acapulco. And now Celebrity Launchpad includes 6 days and nights at the villa, room and board included in your tuition for Celebrity Launchpad. I really want to make it compelling for people because I want people to have the guts to step up and become TV superstars. And the questions that these producers are going to ask you are going to help you with your messaging. A lot of people say, oh, I'm not ready to come to Celebrity Launchpad. I need to work on my messaging. I need to work on my marketing. I need to work on this and that and the other thing. And it's like, hey, man, you know, the TV producers are going to amplify everything that you're doing so big and so fast, it'll surprise you.
It does. It surprised me. And it's also very interesting how varied the different stations are, even within the same affiliate. NBC in one place is very different than what NBC in another place is looking for. So it really stretches you. It really makes you work for that title of expert. You really have to know your stuff some days.
Definitely. I had a client who was a Harvard Medical School graduate. And he told me that going on TV made him a better doctor, made him a better doctor. Yeah. It will do amazing things for you. And a lot of it is because you have to walk in. Now, today we don't walk. Today we just sit down and Zoom. All the TV appearances are done by Zoom. And that's been an amazing breakthrough for us as expert guests, because it used to be that you had to go to the stations. You had to travel all around the country to go to some little town or city, which may or may not give you a great segment. But now all you got to do is turn on Zoom. But you just walk into any situation really not knowing what to expect. And then you have to make something out of it.
Well, I think COVID changed a lot of things. I think that's one of the things it did for us. It definitely helps. I mean, being a working mom, a single mom, I mean, the ability to just turn on Zoom is a great thing. But also, I think it made it a little bit easier to connect with the producers than it may have been before, because everyone was sort of scrambling, not really knowing what was happening or when it was going to go back to normal. And so everyone was a little bit more vulnerable and kind of wearing their feelings on their sleeve a little bit more. So I think for me, it made it easier to connect. And then I was going in with, you know, my happiness and anxiety messages. So I think people felt compelled to open up a little bit too.
Yeah, you really hit it with the message. But, you know, it's funny when people come to Celebrity Launchpad, as we sit around the table and we review everybody's segments. Usually it's 12 people. Sometimes it's as many as 15 people. We go around the table and I work through each person's segments in the room. And a lot of people have segment envy. A lot of people are like, oh my, your segment is so good. And your segment is so good. And your segment is so good. And one of the things I say is that I would rather get an outstanding performance of mediocre material than a mediocre performance of outstanding material. Now, how many different segments have you been doing?
I've done a number because I've had producers ask me to come back and either do something different or do something specific. Yep. I had one producer say, I had pitched them something and she responded and said, hey, this guy was going to come on and do this topic, but we like you better. Will you just do this topic for us? So I've done so many different segments just because of that, but I've stuck to probably a core of about 4 of them. Good. And then there were just sort of some offshoots from there. Yeah.
Yeah. I think that the goal is to get known as the person on this topic or the person on that topic. And if you can become, you know, having a little reputation in the producers community, that's how you break through. I mean, when I got on the Today Show, it took me 57 appearances to make it onto the Today Show. They called me because it was New Year's Eve and they needed somebody to talk about New Year's Eve, New Year's resolutions, looking forward. And I had already done about 32 appearances on that topic of New Year's resolutions and New Year's Eve. So, you know, I really want to encourage you to stay focused on happiness and I guess stress, but, you know, mostly happiness would be really good.
Okay.
Yeah. Would you have any advice for people who are afraid, who don't think they're ready, who don't think they have what it takes, who don't think they can do it, who think, oh, well, of course I can work for Dannie Denovo and Clint Arthur, look at them, but I can never do that. What do you say to those people?
I say give it a shot. Even if you don't think you're ready, you don't think you can do it, you think you won't like it, all the excuses that you give yourself, just try. I started out, honestly, my intent was, okay, if I can get on one TV appearance I'll be proud of myself. I'll be happy with it. Let's see what can happen. And when you just sort of open yourself up to that, momentum starts to come in and things shift for you. And like Clint was saying, how things started to morph for me as far as my coaching and as far as how I looked at things. It was fun because not only was I going on TV and kind of having fun with that, but I was learning more about myself. I was learning more about my coaching. So there were a lot of things driving behind it, and it really did become a fun experience. At first, it's a little nerve-wracking, yes. But after that, you just have a good time with it. And then you form relationships with people. So you have fun with the producers and you have fun with the anchors, and you're joking and you're having a good time. Just try it. That's all I had to say. Just try it.
Hey, I remember when we first started together, you said, hey, is this going to work for me? What did I say?
You said if I followed what you said, that it would work. You said, I think you'll get on TV.
I mean, really, you just have to do what Clint says.
Yeah.
Celebrity Launchpad comes with a guarantee. I guarantee you're going to book yourself on at least 3 TV appearances with ABC, NBC, CBS, or Fox, news or talk shows in local cities around the country, local affiliates around the country, or else I'll give you all your money back plus $1,000. As I said, we're coming up on Celebrity Launchpad 49. I still have 1 bed there. My next event after that is in August at Bellagio in Las Vegas. A lot of people like that one. That event's almost full already. It's really filling up fast because people love to go to Vegas, and it is a good time. It's going to be my birthday. So if anybody wants to get in while the getting is good, I say get what you can get while you can get it. Oh my God, you think I'm going to be doing this forever? You think everything is going to be, I'll do it next year. You think there may not be a next year. If there's one thing that COVID has taught us, is that there may not be a next year. I know a lot of people aren't here anymore, and get what you can get while you can get it. Make your impact, have your influence, and earn your income while you can. That's what I say. So go to www.guaranteedcelebrity.com, guaranteed with a D, celebrity.com, because I'm looking forward to seeing you on as much TV as Dannie Denovo. Oh my God, this girl, you set the record for cold calls. As part of Celebrity Launchpad, I teach you how to cold call, and then we have an implementation event where I bring in my producer friends and you pitch them one-on-one on Zoom. Let me ask you a question. Like, which is easier, phone pitching or Zoom pitching?
Good question.
Right?
Yeah. At this point, I prefer phone pitching because I feel like I have more flexibility, but it's also fun to see the real-time reaction to the producer's face when you're pitching.
Hey, look, it's a mixed blessing because these producers are my friends, and they know what they want, and they know what they're expecting from me when they come here. So, and I know what to give them. So it comes down to, can you perform? When you're performing on video, it's more difficult because you have to look good and you have to do a bunch of things. You gotta basically perform the segment as an audition. Whereas when you're on the phone, it's just a voice. And it's so much easier to do voice, podcast, radio, phone, so much easier than to do video. Don't you agree?
It is. Also, when you're cold calling and they pick up the phone, they don't necessarily know what they're getting into. So a lot of times I like to think that I impress them a little bit because they think it's just a regular call. But when they're on with you for that specific purpose, they're zoned in, they're paying attention to what they need to pay attention to. So yeah, you've got to really up your game. Yeah.
And also on the phone, they're not used to people who are authors, speakers, coaches, experts, consultants, advisors, calling them up and doing a good pitch because people don't know how to pitch. And that's part of what you get in Celebrity Launchpad is I teach you how to do cold call pitching, how to just pick up the phone, call any station in America and book yourself on a show. Now you've booked yourself on a national show. Was it the same, more difficult, less difficult than getting on local shows?
More difficult. Yeah, it is.
In what sense?
It's harder to get to the people who make the decisions. And, it was more difficult in that I think I needed those smaller shows to build up the confidence level to go after the bigger show. So yeah.
That was my theory when I started this whole thing out in 2013, April of 2013. It's been 8 years I've been doing Celebrity Launchpad. And my theory was if you do enough local TV, that you can work your way up to the biggest national shows. And our first success came 2 years after I started, when Veronica Gray booked herself on Good Morning America. And then Dr. Kellyanne was on Good Morning America. And then Sandy Masori booked herself on the Today Show. And then I got on the Today Show. And then Joyce Joya got on the Today Show. And Hal Elrod has been on the Today Show. And I know I'm forgetting somebody else. We've had 5 people on the Today Show, 4 people on Good Morning America. Kellyanne's been on Good Morning America a lot. And now Kellyanne gets paid to go on Dr. Oz every single week.
Yeah.
You should set your sights on Dr. Oz. I think he would love you. I really do.
Dr. Oz.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. All right. Well, hey, look, if you're watching this and this is appealing to you, get what you can get while you can get it. I have less than 5 seats left. 5 seats left in the August Celebrity Launchpad at Bellagio. So apply at guaranteedcelebrity.com. And I'm looking forward to seeing you on television. Thanks, everybody. Thanks, Dannie.
Thank you.
All right. And let's take a look at Dannie's appearance on Daytime. Come on now. Let's go to, I guess it's on Facebook then, Facebook. Here she is. Yeah, see, Great Day, Washington. That's good. Here she is, Daytime.
Welcome back to Daytime. If your children's behavior or attitude frustrate or confuse you, it's time to look in the mirror. So says the best-selling author of Get in a Good Mood and Stay There.
So says the best-selling author of Get in a Good Mood and Stay There. Okay, so you tell me if you think it's important to be a best-selling author. Yes, right? Okay, and by the way, the NBC logo right over here in this corner right here. This is the national syndicated
Dannie Denovo,
NBC
who has come
logo.
up with 5 behaviors that our kids are mirroring from us. Dannie, good to have you on. You've come up with this really clever acronym for these 5 behaviors. Tell us about it.
Use the acronym CLONE because when it comes to our behavior, our children are our exact clones.
And what does each letter stand for in your acronym?
C stands for climate. This is your general demeanor. This is your mood. This is your attitude, maybe your level of kindness and generosity. And the easiest thing that I can say about this is if your child has a bad attitude, you should probably take a better look at your own.
So the C is for climate. So he or she will mirror the climate. What about the next one, love? What do you mean by that?
Love is about passion. It's about what lights us up inside. Our children should be passionate beings. And so if they aren't going after things that they're passionate about or seeking things out that they're passionate about, you have to ask yourself, have you lost your passion? Or maybe you've just numbed out.
So that brings us to O, obliviousness. If you're oblivious, your kid will be too.
Well, if you're distracted, your child will be distracted. So does your child have a hard time concentrating? If so, how are you distracted? Are you constantly in your phone? Or maybe you're just ruminating about a problem or constantly worried about that next thing on your to-do list. That's distraction.
And what do you mean by nervousness?
Nervousness is just anxiety. If you show me an anxious kid, I will show you an anxious parent every time.
What about energy?
Energy is just your health, your level of well-being, your vitality. right? Our children should be living with a great deal of vitality in life. So if you have a child who just wants to sit around and do nothing or doesn't want to engage with other people, you have to ask yourself, where is my energy?
Okay, after hearing all of this, Dannie, I'm honestly sweating a little tiny bit because I have not been the perfect parent. I have not mirrored the perfect behavior every time, for sure. Is this something that is reversible? Like, can we be a good clone for our kids too?
We can be. And although these habits are a little bit hard to get into, I can offer some help and guidance. When it comes to your climate, you've got to pay attention. You've got to make the decision that you're going to set out the day with a good attitude. And then you have to consciously police your actions just like you would with your child. It's just harder to do for ourselves than it is for someone else.
And how did you come up with this? What have you seen in your
Here's the
daily life as a
story.
happiness coach?
Well, I see a lot of anxiety around COVID, but I see a lot of children exhibiting anxiety and depression, and that just breaks my heart. But also as a mother, I used to live a very depressed life, and it was very unfulfilling. And I saw my daughter mimicking my actions. I could not live with that. And so I set out to change my life and to change my behavior so that my child could have the happiest life she possibly could.
Isn't that so funny how having a kid gives you incentive to be a better person in ways that you never have found before?
She transformed my life. Absolutely.
I think it's wonderful. Let's end on a good note, a positive message for parents who want to tackle this and change the way they behave around their children. What would you say? What's your best advice?
My best advice is you're forming your child's future happiness, and they have to learn that from you. So if you want a happy child, you have to be a happy parent.
Very simple and brilliantly put. Dannie Denovo, thank you so much for that.
Thank you.
And go to DannieDenovo.com for more information. And of course, on our website, daytimeonline.tv.
Okay. There you go. Now, that was the result of a cold call. National TV show. That show is the precursor. It's the junior version of the Today Show. That show right there. And that all came from cold calls. Working her way up. And the producer is a hard producer. She never answers her phone. Never, ever. Doesn't answer her phone. But Dannie Denovo kept calling, finally emailed many times, finally got an email returned and invited on the show. She kept at it. And that's what you got to do, guys. You know, if you want it, show me you want it. If you don't show me you want it, then you don't want it. Because it ain't rocket science to get booked on a TV news or talk show on a local affiliate around the country. It's not rocket science. They need guests. They want guests. They don't get good pitches from guests. Memorize the pitch I gave you and call up places and book yourself on shows. Get the producer on the show and book yourself on those shows. Start with these little tiny stations in the littlest, smallest markets, in the middle of nowhere, in Oklahoma, in Texas, in, just the smallest markets that you can find. Get a producer on the phone and get on the show. Otherwise, you don't want it, because I'll tell you what, it is not that difficult to book yourself on a show. That's what it's all about. You saw it there, folks. I've been talking about Dannie Denovo. She unseated Nisani as the cold call king of Celebrity Launchpad, and she hasn't stopped. She has kept going, and that girl is going to be on the biggest shows. I don't know when, I don't know which one, but she did what I told her to do, okay? She got DannieDenovo.com. She got a best-selling book. She makes the calls. She keeps going on the shows. Week after week after week. 73 shows in 13 months, okay? So how much is that? So that's 13 times 4. That's 52 weeks. So 73 divided by 52. She's been doing 1.4 appearances per week. with the happiness segment. Does she have a degree in happiness? No, she's a lawyer. But she's got the best-selling book. That's her only piece of credibility. And she now has 73 TV appearances. And one last thing before we wrap it up, let's go to DannieDenovo.com and take a look. See what she's doing with that. There's Dannie Denovo. I'm going to share my screen so you can see this. Here's her website. Join my email list. I'll join. There's her Dr. Oz. There she is on her one-on-one Zoom with Dr. Oz. That's pretty good. Testimonial. Dannie's TV and media. TV appearances. Okay, folks, this is what it looks like to have a lot of TV appearances. See that? The more TV you get, the more TV you're going to get. Personally, I would put those all on her first page. But she seems to be doing pretty good. All right, everybody, that's going to wrap it up. I appreciate all of you staying on here. We went a little bit long, but I think it was worth it. You know, you got to see what it really is all about. What it really is all about is getting dozens and dozens of appearances and transforming as a person. Because like I told Dannie Denovo, I don't think I mentioned this in this call, but it's not about the money. It's not about the shows. It's not about the celebrities. It's about who you become in this process. That's what this is all about. And the way to become that person is by going on lots and lots of TV. It's going to wrap it up for tonight, everybody. Thanks for watching. And I'm looking forward to watching you on television. Good night, everybody.